I'm Saflik, and welcome to Teacher Strikes, a closer look. Teacher strikes have had quite a big effect on schools across the island, and I want to find out more from one school in particular. Today we are going to be interviewing our contributors from Ryde Academy to find out more about their experiences from the teacher strikes.
What is your name and job role?
My name's Joy Ballard. I'm the principal of Ryde Academy on the Isle of Wight.
Was it difficult to keep the schools open?
It was difficult to keep it open the first strike. The reason being is the unions advised teachers not to tell leadership and management if they're striking or not. Luckily for us, the majority of staff did actually tell us, but it was more of a concern that we would be understaffing the school. Once we'd done it the first time, it was much easier future times.
What measures did you take to keep the school open?
The measures I took is we put into place a system called Supercover that I'd seen done in another AET school. They'd had a crisis of staff out. I think probably it was something like COVID at the time. And what they'd done is put a system into place that in their theatre, in the big hall, they could bring lots of students together with senior members of staff, so lots of classes to cover for absent teachers. As it turned out, we didn't have to use it very much because we didn't have that many people absent in the end.
How do you think the teacher strikes affected students' learning?
I think we kept learning going, but I certainly went to have a good look round, through the strike days to make sure everything was calm, that all students were able to get on with work. And because all of our students are given Chromebooks once they start at Ryde Academy, they all had a device that they could work on. So as long as the teachers had planned the work, they could all work off their Chromebooks. I think some students actually really enjoyed strike days just because they could see different students and they were all in a big environment.
What is your name and what is your job role?
I'm Mr. Nicholson. I am a teacher here at Ryde Academy. So I teach computer science, enterprise, and I'm also the head of those departments, including engineering.
How have the teacher strikes affected the school?
The school here was actually, it was very minimal actually. I think we had enough people in school and only a few people did strike. So actually anyone that was able to support, and we had cover in place that was really well run. So actually it didn't really affect the students in a large way at all.
Do you think a teacher's pay is livable?
Yes, I live quite well on a teacher's pay. I'd actually say I earn probably a little bit more than most of my friends around my age. I can afford to look after my family and my partner. I personally think we're paid quite well, and that's quite a controversial thing to say. But I guess the reason we're not paid more is because the money's not available.
Do you think children's education is a low priority for the government?
No, I disagree with that. I think it actually is a really big priority. There's a lot of things coming into place at the moment from the government about how our curriculum needs to look, and talking through Ofsted and other big organisations like that keep an eye on how we teach. I actually think those things wouldn't happen if they didn't care about how we taught.
What is your name and what is your job role?
My name's Maria Wilkinson and I am a teacher of maths at Ryde Academy.
What was it like to strike?
It's the first time I've ever been on strike, so it was quite interesting. I was quite unsure whether it was the right thing to do, because obviously I hope people don't think that I don't care about the job because I've gone on strike. Going on strike was really to show that I do care about the job and education. So that was a major thing, really.
Do you think the strikes affected the students' initial behaviour?
When I was in school and there were strike days, it didn't really impact on people's behaviour in class. I think some of them were quite excited about the fact that it was a little bit of a different day and that their timetables had changed a bit. They did super cover, so they might all be together with their friends. So I think there was a little bit of excitement. You know, school carried on and lessons carried on. As I say, I didn't notice any deterioration in behaviour.
Why do you think teachers' pay is so low?
Well, following on from the strike, there has been a 6.5 increase in salaries across the board. So the striking did work. And it wasn't just increase in teachers' salaries because of the way that salaries have been eroded. We've got high inflation and the salaries have only gone up very gradually each year. It means that teachers have lost sort of their pay. But that has been addressed now. The demonstrations and the protests were really to get that extra and additional money for education. With the 6.5% increase, I think teachers' salaries are in a really sort of good position and where they should be.
Where do you think the government stands on education as a whole?
I think it's difficult for the government. A lot of money is invested in education. There are issues in education at the moment in terms of recruitment and retention of staff. So in order to address that, I think the government has had to change its position and invest more money into paying teachers more. And I do think the government is really committed to education. They do rely a lot on people's goodwill and the fact that teachers put an awful lot into their jobs and care deeply about the outcomes of students. But even so, I think they've had to realise that they need to pay a fair wage. And as a result of the strikes and the action, that has now been put in place.
I think that was very informative, but we need another perspective of the strikes. So come with me to interview Peter Shreves. Peter Shreves is a National Education Union representative and will hopefully tell us what it was like for him during the teacher strikes.
What is your name and what is your job role?
Peter Shreve, presently volunteering for the National Education Union on the Isle of Wight. My present roles are Assistant District Secretary, Treasurer, Caseworker, and also involved in many other areas.
Why do you think teachers are being treated so badly by the government?
I think the government treats most people quite badly. And when I say badly, I think the biggest issue we've had really is education secretaries don't want to talk to us. Despite what people feel maybe is a traditional view of unions, we like to collaborate and cooperate, but it has to be give and take on both sides. I mean, we've had 10 education secretaries in the last 13 years. Now, how can they run a system when most of them have not been in post for a year? How can they run a system when most of them have very little relationship or understanding of state education and how it works or how it should work? And this was obvious during the strike. The Education Secretary, Gillian Keegan, pretty much, I won't say refused to meet with unions, but slowed down the process on every given case. One of the first times she met with our two General Secretaries and other union members, I understand the meeting lasted less than 30 minutes. And also, there was no suggestions from the Education Secretary. It was all our suggestions. So that delayed things a little.
Well, that's everything. Thank you for watching. I'm Rosaphilic, and this was Teacher Strikes, A Closer Look.